Hello and welcome to this episode of the Magnetic Woman Show. As you can see, we are joined by another incredible guest today, and I am so excited, so honored to introduce all of you to Tiffany Cheung, who is the founder of the Heart Artistry Legacy. She's an author, podcast host herself, single mom who went from welfare turned seven-figure CEO. I mean, my goodness. Heart Artistry is a business through the heart space. So it is for self-led sovereign leaders who know that their call is to bring a movement forward. And it is a global mentoring company that has generated over 1 million in cash since 2020. What a badass. And she focuses on teaching clients worldwide through energetics and wealth creation, as well as magnetism and personal power. So, Tiffany, thank you so, so much for being here. I'm so excited for my audience to get to know you a little bit more. So, I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and how you started the work that you do in the world.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I started on social media years ago, actually, as a blogger. I started it shortly after I had my daughter. And one of the only outlets I found that I could do while staying at home and taking care of her was I found the makeup community that got really big around that time. Actually, like people were posting makeup tutorials and videos on YouTube for the very first time, and YouTube was just blowing up at that time. And I found it to be this beautiful way of me like connecting to my new self, my new body now as a mom. And I was so young, and I felt like a lot of my independence and my freedom got stripped away from me when I had my daughter, because I was 18 when I got pregnant and then 19 when I had her.
Wow.
And so I started my blog, and I really just started, I don't even know where this really came from, but I started sharing a lot of what I was experiencing online. So if I would navigate and learn something, I would immediately want to share it. And I was going through breakup. My parents had kicked me out of the house. I was navigating just a really dramatic rock bottom moment where I had essentially like disconnected myself from a lot of the relationships and friendships I had. The friends that I did have were going off to college and discovering adulthood for the first time. Here I
Wow.
was, a new single mom, and I was navigating a lot of what I would say is me coming to learn about myself, healing, self-awareness, lots of really big shifts all in one time. So I took to YouTube, I took to the blog, and I just started sharing. And a lot of it was real time too. Like I would just share like day in the life of a single mom that was working and going to school. So I'd like drop off my daughter in the morning. I would go to college. I went to two different colleges, and then I
Wow.
would work and then I would pick her up, and we were just like, but we still had so much fun, and we shared that, and we vlogged it. And on the weekends, we'd go to like arcades and we'd go out and have fun. So I created a bit of a following from that and people who just wanted to see the life that I was leading. And then when the pandemic hit, I lost my day job. I had already grown a bit of a following through social media. So I was like,
Yeah.
why don't I teach this? And at that point, it was just social media. And
Yeah.
it was just like growing on social media, connecting to your audience. I only knew influencers. So I only worked with content creators and influencers. And then over time, it shifted into working with leaders and founders, entrepreneurs, which is what I do now, not just in their businesses, but specifically around energetics, wealth, their own personal power, sourcing that from within yourself, and just overall living a really beautiful, satisfying, fulfilled life as you're growing your legacy.
Oh my God. I love all of that so, so much. And I want to talk about living a satisfying life because I think if
Yes.
you've been in the online space for more than, we'll say 3 to 5 years, right? Like I started my online business back in 2015. So I've been here for a while, you've been here for a while, and it's really easy. And I think a lot of the women watching, right, will resonate with this. It's really easy at the beginning to get caught up with what you think success looks like
Absolutely.
and striving for this like picturesque, Instagrammable, idealized version of success.
Oh
And
yeah, I did that.
Who didn't, right? And then usually around like year 3 to 5, I find, right? Like you hit some success, you hit your strive, and
Mm,
then you're like, I'm not satisfied.
yeah,
I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. I just recreated a 9 to 5 job, but worse, right? Like,
literally. Yeah.
so how was that for you finding like moving from creating maybe what you thought success would look like to something that was actually satisfying and like lit your soul on fire while also being successful?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's been one of my biggest lessons. I feel like I still come up against it at each level, right? So
Yes.
it's like there
Yes.
just continues being deeper and deeper
Yes.
seasons of this same work. But I would say one of the first ones was when I realized that like I literally had created my 9 to 5, but I was working all the time. And I
Right?
built I built this business to spend more time with my daughter and have more freedom. And I realized I wasn't spending more time with her than I was before. I was more stressed out. I was navigating all of the wounds and the triggers that were coming up with entrepreneurship and working with clients and didn't not realizing I'd also signed up for this like massive evolution and reflection and the mirror being held up to me in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Right. And so as soon as I did really start to recognize that, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna do it in this way, I'd like I'm here to make it pleasurable. I'm here to make it satisfying. Right. And I really started looking at like all of the reasons. I mean, there's so many. Like my dad worked a lot. My parents are both like they instilled that in us from a really, really young age, right? So all the subconscious beliefs, all the things that were coming up around me connecting everything to my worth and the money. So for my entire life, especially growing up in an Asian home, it was grades. It was excellence in your grades. You're bringing home A pluses. If you're not bringing home A pluses, what are you even doing? And my SAT scores, I remember going to SAT prep very young. So years and years and years of that, math programs, all the things, right? And so it was like that was my worth. And then on top of that, a very Asian thing to do. You're in piano, you're in ice skating, you're in all the things
All the
extracurricular, right?
activities.
And then you have to do great in all of them as
Great.
well.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yes.
Because then
Perfection, perfection,
what are you even doing?
perfection, perfection. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so after grades, it was now money, sales, clients. And I realized that was one of the big things I had to shift out of. That was, oh, I'm not actually, I haven't actually processed all of this. I'm just creating these new external factors that are still tied to my worth and my safety and feeling loved and feeling satisfied and feeling like I need to earn in order to get to the rest, in order to
Oh,
get to the satisfaction and the rewards. But I wouldn't even let myself get there because it was
no,
just a never
definitely.
ending
Yeah,
chase.
just keep moving the goalpost. And I know that
Yeah.
that is something, as you said, that is specific to different cultures. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of women who probably follow both of us would define themselves as high achievers, right? So like
Absolutely. I
very
work with, yeah,
yeah,
lots of high
very
achievers.
similar sentiment in my household as well growing up. And I think, at least for me personally, I love your thoughts on this as well. Is it's like, as I have personally been like, okay, I went for this idea of success or what people tell me is success online, and then it burned me out. I hated it. It's like, okay, what actually feels correct for me?
Mhm.
All the while being like, okay, and yes, my overachieving and perfectionism can go too far.
Yeah,
However, those qualities are also really great and beneficial. And
absolutely.
I refuse to, what I see a lot with women, and I would love your perspective on this as well, is, they're in, I know a lot of people call it masculine energy. To me, it's a trauma response. You're in a trauma response where your worth and what you're doing
Mhm.
is tied to, what you're producing. And
Yeah,
then they move into this, like, well, I'm just gonna like relax and not burn out. But for women like me, and I'm assuming you as well, it's like, but we're also at our core driven, high
yes,
achieving, and we have a big vision which requires us to take action to move forward to,
exactly.
get that going. So I have found it, be this beautiful dance and mix of like, okay, I'm going a little too far into overworking, into high achieving perfectionist Lauren.
Yeah. And then swing to the other extreme.
Yeah, and then like, okay, now I'm not doing anything, and that doesn't feel good either because it's moved
Yeah.
beyond rest and into like resistance and hiding
Right.
and a faux sense of safety
Right.
because we've been told and taught as women like to be seen, especially in our power, is unsafe. So it feels
Yeah.
really good sometimes to be like, it's fine. I don't need to do that. I don't need to say that big, bold, scary thing online. That's okay. I don't need
Right.
to do that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I would love to hear from you, like whether that be with your own journey or working with clients, how have you learned to kind of move between this like vision, holding a vision, bringing your mission and something really big into the world while simultaneously living from pleasure and in a more satisfying way?
Yeah, I love that you called it a dance because I refer to it like that as
Mhm.
well. It really is like a very symbiotic thing. And it's not like it isn't because I think the brain sometimes wants to be like, so it's 50-50 then, right? I have to have so many back and forth conversations with my brain that's like
Yeah,
trying to find a formula or trying to find like something to follow, right? Because that was another thing that was deeply ingrained in me was like, what are the rules? And I got to make sure I'm following the rules,
definitely.
especially as like a daughter of immigrants, right? And
Oh, for
growing up
sure.
feeling like the other and essentially being taught that like make sure you stay extra vigilant because you don't want blank blank blank, right? So all of the like okay, so I have to follow all the rules and I have to be perfect and I have to do it really well. But just like you were saying, it's like we have that level of drive and ambition in us, and that's a beautiful thing. And we're not here to just like release that fully, right? We're here to learn to play with it. And so for me, it's honestly, it's so intuitive and there is no formula. It's not like I'm doing this during this many hours and then after this amount of time. I mean, my schedule right now looks a little bit like that because I pick up my daughter every day from school and I pick her up at 2.
Yeah,
So I get as much as I can done before that time frame. But our schedules also have looked very different throughout the years. So I think the bigger thing for me too is like, what am I what am I working towards? I'm someone that I create a lot of different offers and events and things
I
in my
love that.
business. And so I have two core offerings and they all kind of point towards there, but I'll do like next month I'm doing a like 3-week experience, right? Mostly on Telegram. I do these like I just finished the fire horse frequency where I taught about Chinese astrology and the fire horse and what that means for us this year because it's a big year, a big beautiful
Yeah,
year that we're
yeah,
in. So I'm always creating. So for me, it's like, okay, what am I working towards?
yeah,
And what does that lead towards, right? Most of it leads into my membership. So as a business owner, that's the way that I'm thinking about it. So there is like a structure, but
yeah.
then I get to flow within it. How do I want to do it? What feels good? Do I want to do Telegram? No calls? Okay, no calls. Or
Oh,
maybe I want to add a call at the end, or maybe I want to offer like this kind of one-on-one juicy support. Like it's all very, and then I don't know what like the last half of the year is necessarily going to look like.
yeah,
I know what I'm launching and I know kind of when I want to do it. But as I get closer, I feel like the energy gets bigger. And then I can drop in and have deeper conversations. Okay, let's do this on this date and let's lead it up with this and this. And it becomes more clear as I go.
yeah,
But that's kind of the way that I do it. It's very like as we get closer, things will drop in and I let myself be led versus like every time I launch, it has to look like this. And every time I sell something, I have to follow these blueprints. Like I've done that and it's not the way that feels good to me at all. And I need, as a generator, especially, and a
Mhm.
Scorpio that loves pleasure,
Oh,
I need it to feel good.
oh my gosh. Yes. And I mean, let's be real. That's the entire fucking point of life.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
we, especially as women, are insatiable. We're
Yes.
always going to have that next desire. We're always going to have that next thing that we're moving towards, that we're wanting, that we're visioning.
Yeah.
We need to enjoy like it as it's so corny, right? Like it's about journey, not the destination. But it's like,
Yes, but
okay,
it's so
let's
true.
make it sexier. Like, enjoy the fucking journey. Make it as
Yes.
pleasurable as possible because you're going to get to the destination and the goalpost moves. You're going to get to the destination and you're
Right.
already going to be wanting the next thing. And no
Yeah.
amount of trying to stifle or water down your desires is going to make it be
Mm,
like, okay, well,
yes.
I reached this level, this plateau. I'm good for the rest of my life, you know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And I love that you have found like the connection to your intuition as you move through your business. And this is one thing I say all the time. Like the when we as women who are on the path of the feminine,
Hmm.
meaning like more dropped into our intuition, more leading from our body, from pleasure, from like a vision that probably doesn't look like what we were told, how we were trained, what we were taught.
Right.
Um, it it is about knowing that there's going to be seasons in our life, and those seasons might line up with Mother Nature's seasons, right? Like you might be in an era where for a
Yeah.
few years, like how you launch or how you move in your business really syncs up with like winter, spring, summer, fall. Or if you have kids, like those seasons of your life are going to be different from when they're really little to elementary school to middle school, right?
Yep.
High school and beyond. I don't have kids, but I I know
Yeah.
I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
I have plenty of friends that have kids.
Yeah.
And or you just are going through something personally. Like I've spoken very honestly about how the last 2 years have been like super dark night of the school soul after leaving my last relationship, which was
Mm,
the best decision I ever fucking made. But then coming out of it, I was like, holy shit. What
yeah.
what cognitive dissonance is going on there? Let's pull this apart, you know? And so I
Yeah.
love
Mm,
that you have dropped in and giving yourself permission to let your intuition lead how you move through your business because as you said, right? Like those of us who are high achieving women, no
hmm.
matter what background we come from and more and certainly def more intensely from specific backgrounds, right? Rule followers, like good girl, like
Yep.
check the boxes, follow the
Yep.
rules because then you'll get what you're supposed to get, which is
Right.
money, success,
Hmm.
power, right? And like from what you were just describing, it's like you threw the fucking rule book out and you're getting
Yeah.
more than your wildest dream, which I love.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. And so I'd love to talk a little bit or hear more from you around throwing the rule book out as it relates to making money because I think that that is
Mm,
one area where we can get like, okay, I can throw the rule book out and like how I design the course or how I like structure my day, but money, we gotta check the boxes, we gotta follow,
yeah.
we gotta be the good little girl so that we'll be rewarded with the money.
Yes, absolutely. Especially since our money beliefs are so ingrained and so subconscious. Like we start picking up on things very, very, very little. And it doesn't even have to outright do with like how we were taught money. Most of it is just like mom and dad are fighting about the bills, money is bad, right? Or like someone made a comment about rich people. And so now I'm subconsciously going to make sure that I don't have that much money. So I'm still seen as good. Because
Yep.
that's one of, especially for us, like, women like we are so afraid of feeling disappointment and disappointing others
Oh,
and being seen as like the bad one or that we're somehow doing something wrong, right? And so that's like one of our biggest fears, but then all these things block us from the flow of money,
yeah.
not because these things are true, but because we essentially they might as well be because we've latched onto them so deeply, right? So yeah, I love that question in terms of like what I did to throw the rule book away. I mean, spent at least the first year or two of my business trying to follow all the rules and do
Sure.
everything correctly and really learning there was a big shift in the way that I really wanted to show up in my business and I feel like specifically around wealth energetics. It's like
Mm.
it isn't about working harder. And that was one of the biggest lessons I really had to learn is it's not about no work, but it's not about working harder.
Yes.
And it's so against everything that we were taught,
Yeah.
especially as high achieving women, and especially with the parents that had the mantra of like, just work hard. You'll make
Yes.
money just
Yeah.
by working hard. Just go to school, go to college, go get a good job. Like if you work hard at what you do, you'll be successful,
Yep.
right? But that really caps us because that is such an employee 9 to 5 mindset where they
Yep.
don't, you're never gonna be expected or allowed to make more than the CEO, right? Like you always have a cap. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it's like you wait a whole year, you get like $1 or $2 raise, right? Whatever. That's like what we would be accustomed to growing up, especially working 9 to 5s and then going
Definitely.
into corporate for a lot of us, right?
Right.
So breaking that down, it's like, can we see that there's actually a completely different way than what we're taught? And we have to be okay with that, first of all, and releasing everything we've been taught, knowing that money operates on a completely different realm. It is
Oh,
all energy, and it's not
yeah.
good or bad. It's here. I believe it's here to support us. I believe it's an unlimited resource that we get to use. And so if we can tap into being an energetic match, and I know
Mm.
how that sounds sometimes, right? It's like, but genuinely, truly, like, can you be and
Yeah.
and oftentimes when I talk about money and the energetics of it, it's not, like I said, it's not about doing more and it's not about like more rituals and more practices. It's really like if you just bring it down plain and simple, it's like what are the subconscious blocks that you have in your brain that you're still holding on to that are being perpetuated, and can you just let them go again and again and again, and more will come up. You're going to
Yeah.
let that go too. It's about releasing
Yes.
anything that's standing in the way because money is trying to find its way to you. Like I genuinely believe it's our birthright to receive abundance. And
Yes.
can we just let it come to us and stop cock blocking it?
Oh my God.
Right? Like, can we stop that?
Seriously. Seriously. And I think
Yeah.
now more than ever, right? We need
Yes.
women who are dropped into who they are, to their hearts, to pussy, to pleasure, to their intuition,
Yes.
right? Like whatever verbiage you use, to me it's like it's all that same feeling and essence of like
Yeah.
really being dropped into who you are. We need more and more women in that space
Hmm.
holding more of the wealth of the world. Right.
Absolutely.
Like, and I agree, money is unlimited, right? So not like holding the wealth as if it's finite, but holding wealth in the
Right.
world. Because statistically, we know women with money do better things for the world than men with.
Yeah.
And I mean, my God, like we don't have to look very far for like we didn't need a statistical analysis of this.
Right.
We have plenty. And this is honestly one of the reasons why right now I thought it was so important to host the Embodied Feminine Leadership Revolution series, which you, of course, are one of
Yeah.
the incredible speakers, because
Yes.
I just feel like women in the patriarchy for thousands of years, we've been conditioned to distrust our intuition and our own
Mhm.
spiritual gifts. We've been told our voice is unnecessary, and quite frankly, using your voice could lead you to harm or death, right?
Right.
We've been
Yeah.
told that not only is it not appropriate for us to have money, but that marriage is a way for women to be bought and sold, not to mention the minority groups of women who were bought and sold in on a larger scale through colonization. It's
Yeah.
we're fighting against, not fighting against, I should say, we come up against a lot of unconscious programming, which is why I love that you were like, you let it go and you let it go and you let it go. Because I think
Yes.
there can be a tendency and honestly, like a little hope of like, okay, well, I let it go the one time, like I'm good, right?
Right.
Like check plus, I did it,
Yeah.
when in reality, it is, like you said, coming up against it, letting it go, coming up against it, letting
Again and again.
again
Yeah. I'm
and
still
again.
doing this work consistently. I don't think we're gonna get to a point where we don't. I mean, I think it's gotten so much easier and it gets
Yeah.
easier and quicker. Like it took used to take me so long to shift.
That's
And
such a good
what do
point.
you mean? What do you mean that like it was so hard for me to wrap my head around energy and frequency and like
Yes.
manifestation work, right?
Yes.
And now it's like, okay, I know it. And but I do believe sometimes we can then get into like the entitlement, as I call it, of like, oh,
Ooh, talk a little bit about that. Yes.
yes. This was like a couple years into my business where I started to realize, and of course, how does the universe get our attention when sales are starting to drop,
Totally.
right? And then it's like, oh, okay, there's a lesson here. And so I was, okay, went through a launch, and this launch was always like high multi five-figure launch, right? And I
Yes.
went through this launch, and it was like, not close to what I would normally have within the first couple of weeks. And I remember when it finally clicked that it was entitlement, I was like, that's what it was. Like I was like cringing and I was like at myself. I was like, oh my gosh, like how did I not see this? But it's so easy to when you're doing it and you master it and you master it. It's not that it's not mastered, you're mastering it at different levels and maintaining it. So I got into this like, I just know. I just know. I already know. I don't need to do. I'm above, right?
Of
And we
course.
do that. We do
Truly.
that because I mean, A, it feels good, but then also it's like, well, I've done so much, right? Like I've done so much and so much. And so there are going to be points where I think that we come up against it. And we get to come back to basics in a way. Like, what are the foundational elements of this that maybe we've just kind of neglected a little bit because we have done so much of the work. And it's not that it was for nothing, it's just there are deeper layers. We're
Yeah.
shifting into bigger levels in our
Yeah.
identity and leadership. And
Yeah.
so it is a level of maintenance. It's like a hygienic practice, right? It's
Love
not like we can
that.
do it so good that we never have to do it again, right?
Yes.
Like over time,
Oh,
our brain is going to start braining. So we have to, it's a sustainability thing.
I love that. And one thing I want to add into that, right, is like this is where elements of, again, however you phrase this, like the non-judgmental observer or like deep and unwavering compassion for yourself, but where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I was being entitled.
Yeah.
Oh, and you just get to be like, oh, great, that was the lesson. Like that
Yep.
is, or not the lesson, that was a lesson in
Yeah.
this. And I'm sure in that launch there were other lessons or other things where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so yes, there was an element of entitlement. And then I saw how quickly I dropped off marketing or like whatever it is, right? And I think that, you know, when we're women who are committed to living from our authentic expression
Hmm.
and really not just living that way, but leading that way, right? So not this
Right.
kind of like I'm a passenger princess to life, like life just happens to me, but
I like
I'm
that.
I'm an active co-creator in
Yes.
my experience, or I call it a creatrix in my experience.
Mm.
And just kind of that like give and take with again whatever universe, goddess, God, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So I love that example from you, and I love just how you phrased it, right? Where it was like there's no shame, there's no judgment, there's no like, oh,
Yeah.
I messed up because I felt entitled for that one time. It's like, oh, yeah, that came up. Okay. Like
Yes.
see how we can, as you said, move through it and check that and go back to basics. And I also love that you called it like this maintenance, right? Where it's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's not a list that we check off. It's not a test that we pass and get a grade
Right.
on that we don't have to revisit. It is, I always say, like, living from pleasure or living on the path of the feminine is a lifestyle. It is a
Yeah.
day-to-day devotional, disciplined practice of
Absolutely.
coming back to what works for you. So I'd love to hear from you, like, what, not that you have to tell us like all of your rituals, but are there certain things that you come back to day that you're like, oh, this is really like what grounds me, what keeps me connected to pleasure, what keeps me in my power as a woman?
Yeah, I have so many that I turn to,
Sure.
and then what I do is in the moment based on what I need, I'll just call like just ask my higher self. And a lot of it, honestly, I'm gonna share, but like it's really simple, like
Yes.
really basic
Yes.
stuff. Like I don't
Yes.
do I remember when I first learned about manifestation, I would set all the candles and then
Of
all the
course.
things, and I would get in the like, and I'm not saying don't do that. Like, please go and do that.
Yes.
But for me, a lot of it, especially as a single mom that has like very little time,
Yes.
it's very simple. It's like whenever I feel like, okay, there's something I want to drop into here, or it'll just come to me and it'll just be like, get out there, put your feet on the grass, right? And just like breathe. I do a lot of like talking to trees.
I
So
love
it'll
that
just
so
be
much.
like, I'll put my hand, there's like a big tree out here where it's been like kind of cut away. So I just like put my hand on where it's flat and I'll speak and I'll just like there's I don't know. There's like a connection that I've built with very much like Mother Nature and Earth, I'll just say, with yeah, with just the nature and the elements.
Yeah.
And this year the element in the Chinese zodiac is fire,
Right.
right? And so this is the year where there is just natural momentum everywhere. I keep saying it's like the year for women leaders to rise.
Yes.
And we need to like rise, like there's this energy's already here. Can we just like pick up on it and go with it,
Oh, I love
right?
that.
So yeah, that's something and a lot of it honestly is just it's a lot of like I do a lot of like self-reflection and getting into like, okay, what am I here? What is here to be cleared? And then from there, like what feels good to just like step into and receive, whether it's like I'm just gonna sit on my couch with like some chocolates, or I'm gonna like it's gonna be a simple like I'm gonna take a shower, but I'm actually gonna like let the water fall through like my hair and my shoulders and my body. And it isn't one of those like, okay, just get out of here as fast as possible because I have shit to do. It's like, let me actually take the shower. Let me actually take this bath. So for me, especially as a busy single mom, it's very simple, like non-crazy things,
I
but it
love
is
that.
my energy that I feel as I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
I can turn like one shower into a sexy, pleasurable, beautiful, ecstatic
Yes.
experience just because I get to. Like, why not?
Yeah.
And I bring in my daughter with this, like, it'll just be like, okay, we're gonna have a movie night at home, but it's like we're gonna make it special, and I'm gonna get like flowers during the day when I go to the grocery store, and I'm gonna like get takeout, and we're gonna make something of it. And
Oh,
I really like doing that, especially with her, right? And I love that I have a daughter, and we just get to like like fun things
beautiful.
and paint our nails and do our hair. Like we just have these fun rituals that I get to bring her into
I
that
love
feel really
that
good
so
for
much.
my inner child too.
I love that so much. And like what a beautiful example, not just for your community, but for your daughter and really for your lineage. Like I think about this
Yes.
so often, right? Like how lucky are we? I mean, there's a lot of shit right now in the world, in our own personal lives for sure, in the United
Yeah.
States, globally. Like there is a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of fear, scarcity, survival energy.
Yes.
And like, how lucky are we as women that like you and I, here we are living in different places, right? Like
Yes.
meeting, having these conversations that we then get to share globally, where we get to connect with other women having these conversations. And like,
Yeah.
I truly think that if you're here and you're watching this or listening to this episode, like you're the woman who's making that change in your lineage. Like you're the woman that your
Yes.
lineage has been waiting for. And I again, I don't have kids. I am single by choice at this point. I'm pretty sure like I'm not having children unless something very large changes. But I do have a
Yeah.
niece who just turned 2, and I think about this
Oh,
often with her, like, and I share this. often as well is like I see my role as her aunt, especially as like a single and child-free woman, as something so sacred. Like I get to
Yeah.
occupy this space in her life that
Yes.
not another woman occupies, right? And I get to be an
Right.
example of different things, of a different aspect of womanhood than she might see. And
Yeah.
just like I think so often of how, again, as hard and as heavy as a lot of things feel, like how lucky are we that you get to turn your movie night with your daughter into this beautiful ritual of like pleasure, beauty, relaxation, and like redefining what it looks like to be a woman in her power, a woman making money, a woman in her self-expression,
Yeah.
and like showing your daughter, right? Like we get to relax, we get to enjoy
Yes.
rest, and that is just as powerful, just as beautiful. We get to make it beautiful
Yes.
as
Exactly.
when mommy works and when mommy creates something epic. Like they get to, and it's just like I love that so much.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love that as well. It's something I'm really, really proud of. And I think
Beautiful.
like regardless of if we have kids, if we don't, like those are the moments that we get to like going back to a satisfying, pleasurable, fulfilling life.
Yeah.
For me, it's not always like really big dramatic things or like big vacations away. Like I'm not able to do that as much while she's in school, right? So
Totally.
it's like, how can we make these beautiful moments every single day, right? If you're single, then like on your own. I've been single for about 6 years now.
Amazing.
And so it's been most of those years by choice up until very recently. I've been like
Yes.
starting to open and date again, which
Love
has been
it.
interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been like, oh, I can now be so okay with like taking myself out to dinner. I went to a concert, like concerts on my own.
Yes.
I've been like all the things that I now do is just like normal, right? Like
Love it.
I live this life and she gets to see an example of that. And then whenever I'm ready to be in partnership, she'll see that as an example as
Like,
well, but she gets to see a single woman and single mom who's making her own money. Like I pay all the bills,
exactly. Yes.
through my business. And I think that's so, it's beautiful. And to think about like us being those roles for not even the kids, but just the people around us
Yes.
and our lineage, some of which have passed on, but
Yeah.
it's like, even still, we're shifting the
Yeah.
cycles.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
I I love that so much. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you're part of this series. So if you're watching
Yes.
this and you've like loved this conversation, we have so much going on over in the Embodied Feminine Leadership Revolution. So this really is a space for women to come. It's completely free. You'll have access to incredible speakers teaching you what does it mean to be an embodied feminine leader, especially right now when again things
Mhm.
feel hard, things feel heavy, when we as women, I personally think, have an obligation that if we have a platform to use it to talk about our politics, our morals, and to do, really good work in the communities that we're in, whatever that looks like. And it can be scary, it can be confronting, which is again why I wanted to put this series together full of women who do speak out about their politics, their perspectives in ways that, again, would have been really dangerous for us in the past and can feel
Yeah.
really dangerous in our nervous
Yeah.
system still. So you can come and join us in the event. The link's down below. And you can also get all of this juiciness right here with our social medias below. So as we wrap up, is there anything left on your heart and your pussy and your body that you want to share or anything left coming up for you?
Yeah. The last thing I would share here is we are abundant. Like we are
Ugh,
designed and destined. It truly is our birthright to receive pleasure and abundance. And the only thing that really stands in the way of that is when we block it,
mm,
right? Whether it is from our subconscious, our past, our memories, our lineages, right? And those things feel very true and big and real in our bodies, and the emotions of it are absolutely real and valid, but we also get to shift them. We also get to shift them as the source. I always tell my clients, like, you are the source, you are the catalyst. You can shift anything inside your body and your experience and your reality into something else. So if you desire more abundance, you desire to be supported more by money, you desire to be supported more in your day-to-day life, right? You get to have that, and you get to have it just because you want it. You don't have to justify it to
Uh,
anyone, and it doesn't need to make sense to anyone. And your example of what a pleasurable, fulfilling, satisfying life doesn't need to make sense to anybody but you.
that I love that so much. Tiffany, thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank
Again,
you.
make sure to sign up for the event. And if it's after the event or the event doesn't call to you, please just go follow Tiffany on social media. Like, I feel like everybody needs to bathe in this like beauty and pleasure and juiciness. And um, if you liked this episode, feel free to share it on social media, tag both of us. Make sure to, share the goodness. Any last parting words, Tiffany?
You are abundant, you're magic, you're the source. And thank
Yes,
you for having
yes,
me
yes.
on.
Oh my God, my pleasure. All right, my loves, thank you so, so much for being here. I'll see you next time.